Hello, my name is Matthew Stankovich, and today I'm going to be talking about safe spaces and why I disagree with the concept. So real quick, all of us have experienced taking offense or giving offense, whether accidental or purposeful, at some point in our life. Okay, this is a super common feeling. We have all been offended by something or someone in our lives, and I'm going to talk about why we get that feeling and how to combat that, and why I don't think safe spaces are the correct method to combating that. I think we as an individual should be the one to combat those emotions. So first, I'm going to talk about how I'm defining a safe space in regards to this speech, and then I'm going to transition into the ingredients that are needed in order for someone or something to be offensive and for you to take offense, demonstrating that through a study, and then I'm going to finish it off with the remedy and all that. So much fun. So like I said, in regards to this speech, I'm defining safe space as only like a mental space, safe space, not the physical safe space, just your mental, as in mentally upsetting you, not physically. Like if someone is physically harming you, you should run away, find somewhere safe to hide, right? I'm not talking about that, because that's what the Google definition says. It includes the physical aspect, and I'm just focusing on the mental. So with talking about the mental, we need to talk about the first point, which is the ingredients that make up the ingredients that cause something to be offensive. So it's three things. It's the person that's being offended, it's the person that's performing, the person that's being offensive, and then the norm that's being violated. And what I mean by that is the easiest example would be like calling something queer or gay. So the person being offended is someone that relates to that term or supports that term, and then the offender would be someone that's saying that in a derogatory term, and then the norm would be, using it in that derogatory term to explain, like, I don't know, anything, right? So those are the ingredients that make up that. That's why, that's the structure. That's why we get offended. Our norms that we endorse are violated, right? So real quick, I want you to think back to a time in your life where you were offended. And I know there may not be a lot, but really get into the archives of your brain. I want you to think about what was said, who said it. I want you to visualize the person. I want you to think about how it made you feel. Do you think that person meant to make you offended? Do you think they did it on purpose? Do you think it was an accident? And I want you to think about your relationship with the person before it happened and after it happened. Did it change? Did it stay the same? I want you to think of all that. I want you to visualize primarily on the person that offended you. Now, a majority of you should be thinking about someone close to you, a family member, a friend, a coworker, someone in our close bubble of people. And the reason for this is because taking offense actually affects us on a personal scale more than on a public scale. If someone just randomly shouts something negative about you, it won't affect you as much as if your mom or someone like that is offending you. And that relates to me streaming on Twitch. If I'm getting all these negative comments, like I mentioned in my last speech, it really doesn't affect me. It's just faceless whatever. But if my mom calls me ugly, then that's that's probably gonna affect me a little more. So overall, it affects us on a more personal scale than a public scale, and that's important because, in my opinion, I do not think safe spaces can combat that personal. I don't think sitting in a safe space will help that. Will help on the personal scale, and the reason for this is because there's two types of people that respond to offensive situations. There are the people that respond to it positively, as in they see it and they laugh it off, they brush it off. They're like, oh, that person's just wrong. I know it's not right. And they move on, maybe end the relationship with that person, whatever. And then there's the people that take very heavy offense to it, and they are affected much more by offensive comments, and they are, bummed out, and they start feeling the feelings of guilt, shame, depression, all that, because they start to convince themselves that the person offending them was right. And I think safe spaces enhance that feeling, because you're going to sit alone in this room or sit somewhere surrounded by people, with people, whatever, and you're just there with your thoughts and you're talking about it, And with all these people trying to convince you that, you know, the person that offended you is wrong, you're convincing yourself they're not wrong. And I just think that's very detrimental to one's self-esteem and all that. And the way, and like I said earlier, I think it's the solution is in the individual, once again, with the amygdala. And like I mentioned in my last speech, this is the thing that controls basically all of our emotions. It's our, like I said, it's our fight or flight. So being able to train that and understand on an individual level that offense it's an injury. I'm not saying don't be offended. It is an injury to the soul. It's not physical. It's like I said, injury to the soul. But understanding the ingredients, understanding that it's not a common feeling and you can combat those emotions is really important. It is a very unreasonable expectation to think you can go your whole life never being offended, so you might as well learn to combat it.